Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this episode. I want to dive in with you today about autoimmune disease, the real causes and the real cures. Autoimmune disease this diagnosis can be really devastating for people who are diagnosed with it, can be very debilitating. And with some, it's exactly what leads to their demise. It's what kills them, to put it bluntly. And, certain diagnoses can be a really horrendous, ugly, slow, torturous death. I know I'm being graphic right now with it, but I am for a reason. I've worked in the healthcare field for many years, and as many of you know, I left Western medicine. I left the healthcare industry because they basically told me sick people make us money. We live in a sick care system. We don't live in a let's connect people to their divine power, teach them how to heal themselves. And then the healthcare system is there to just give some temporary support in doing so while you are doing that. I believe in the new golden age of harmony. If we as a humanity collectively are able to heal and elevate ourselves enough, we can actually create a well care system where we are supported in keeping ourselves truly healthy. And you cannot be healthy if you do not include all four bodies into that equation and take care of all four of your bodies: your spiritual body, your mental body, your emotional body, and your physical body. Okay. So your physical body is literally the last of your bodies to show symptoms of anything being wrong. It is the last one. So you have already had disease in your spiritual body, in your mental body, in your emotional body, way long before you ever actually have physical symptoms, and especially a formal diagnosis or disease, for example. So by the time it has manifested into a physical disease in the body, you have already had disease, and we're going to talk about what that means, in your other bodies first. Okay. Now I can tell you that as a spiritual healer, part of my abilities is I can see all of the unhealed stuff in a person, to put it very, very simply and water it down. I can see often the exact pattern in people's energetic fields, what has led to their current diagnosis. I can see the unhealed traumas, the unhealed emotions, the trapped emotions. So when we talk about like autoimmune disease, which we're going to dive into, that's your arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, RA, MS, multiple sclerosis, like these are lupus, even like these are some of the examples of what autoimmune disease are. I can also tell you that a lot of times people will have symptoms, quote unquote, unexplained symptoms that they go to their doctor or their physician for, start running all these tests, and it comes back, well, everything's fine, except that you're having all of these symptoms. I had somebody come to me last year and say, I really need a spiritual healing session, maybe 3. I'm having these extreme physical symptoms. I don't understand what's going on in my body. I'm going to the doctor. I'm getting all these tests done. They're testing me for, RA and all of these things to try to figure out what's happening. And she was having extreme swelling, extreme inflammation globally in her body, mostly in her joints. And when she came to me, I instantly could see the level of suppressed anger that was stored in her body literally since childhood. This is somebody who never gets angry. She's not an angry person. So, except that she is an angry person, it just doesn't show behaviorally because it's being suppressed, repressed. There was a tremendous amount of repressed emotion, anger, that she never allowed herself to feel, process, express. Anger is a normal human emotion. There is actually healthy anger. And if that is not expressed, then it gets trapped in the body. If people are, and one of my dearest friends in this lifetime, by the way, had severe, long, chronic diagnosis of RA, that many, many years ago, I would give her healings and she would suddenly be able to move her joints and everything would be great for a while. And of course, it'd always come back. And way back many years ago, I couldn't understand at that time why it would always come back. She also eventually got diagnosed with MS and she died from it. And I'll never forget when she was diagnosed and she called me and she was so distraught and it broke my heart. I remember at the time, but you don't have MS. But she did. But you don't. But she did. But she didn't. And the Western diagnosis, our Western medicine diagnosing somebody, it broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart because they say you have all of these symptoms, you're going downhill. This is now finally the diagnosis. She'd been in and out of the hospital, doctor's tests for around 2 years, until the symptoms got extreme and they were finally able to feel comfortable enough, I guess, to say that this is what this is. Doing the best that they can, of course. However, Western medicine is an old, outdated model, and it does not take anything into consideration about emotions, your mental body, your emotional body, your spiritual body. And here's what kills me about this, because I could see the chronic unhealed traumas and the chronic unhealed anger and emotions that this woman suppressed. That she's one of the most beautiful people you could ever meet in your life. She really, truly was one of the most genuine, amazing, beautiful people. But she carried a lot of the characteristics that people that get diagnosed with autoimmune disease carry. And I'm going to talk about those in a minute. But when you're diagnosed with this is a death sentence. This is what you're going to die from, most likely, is complications from this disease. Okay. Your symptoms get so severe, your muscles stop working. And I'm not going to go into the scientific anything about this. I just want to give a real quick, watered down, simplified version, just in case somebody really has never experienced it, maybe with a relative or anybody that they know. Okay. So I know I'm butchering it a little bit, but I want to get to the good part, the part that's actually really crucial here. Okay. So I know I'm glossing over this for any of you medical people out there that might be listening. I'm not here to educate on what MS specifically is according to the Western medicine model. I am just letting you know that according to Western medicine, you're diagnosed with this. This is your death sentence. There is no cure. There's no cure for MS in Western medicine. There is no cure, except that there is a fucking cure. And I want you to hear that. Okay. So all the way back that we have recorded history, and I'm sure there's more than this. This is just one that I am aware of. All the way back in 1872, there was a French physician, Jean-Martin Charcot, and I'm sure I'm butchering the name. I apologize to all my French speakers. He was a French physician. I mentioned it was all the way back in 1872 that he talked about MS and he said the cause of it. What was the cause of MS? Now, today in quote unquote modern medicine, we don't know the cause of autoimmune disorders, of autoimmune disease. We don't know the cause of MS. Isn't that interesting? Back in 1872, a French physician who literally was deemed the father of modern neurology, the father of modern neurology back in 1872, said that in his research and in his observations, he knew that MS resulted from long continued grief and vexation. And vexation is a state of, annoyed, frustrated, worried. So, what he was talking about were stress, negative emotions, unhealed emotions. This was 1872. There are research studies from physicians, from specialists, from coming out of Harvard Medical, coming out of very credible modern science resources that since 1980s, 1990s, early 2000s, 2014, research has come forward and said in autoimmune disease that basically 70 to 80% of people diagnosed with it are women. Telltale. This will be obvious if you don't really, if this didn't click already when I just said that, this will be obvious by the end of this episode. But also the reasons that are connected to this diagnosis. Okay. For all of you research nerds, I love you. Go do the research, go dig them up, and please do. I'm not being facetious when I say that. Like the nerd in me comes out when it comes to this stuff. I love to hear the studies on it. I don't need the studies. A lot of you don't need the studies. You already know this stuff. And a lot of you have psychic abilities the way that I do. And you can see this stuff in the body and in people's energy fields. I can see it. I know what it's caused from because it's part of my gifts and abilities. It's sad that we have to wait for an outdated, medical model that's century outdated to catch up to what we already know. Meanwhile, people are dying from this. They're not getting the treatments that they need and that they freaking deserve when they could actually reverse this disease and even in some cases or most cases, heal it completely, reverse everything and not have any symptoms whatsoever and be cured from MS or RA or whatever it is. Okay. And I'm going to dive into that, I promise, in just a minute. So here's the thing. Unprocessed emotions destroy your physical body. That's it, period, end. You will have a lot of diseases, cancers, disorders diagnosed in you. You will be suffering from disease when you have unprocessed traumas and unprocessed emotions trapped in your energy fields and trapped in your physical body. And by the way, they are trapped both, not just inside of the physical body. They are trapped in your energy fields around your body and what is the subtle energy bodies that are surrounding your physical body, your spiritual body, your mental body, emotional body. Those are subtle energy bodies that surround your physical body. When you have unhealed negative, quote unquote, negative stuff, unprocessed stuff in your energy fields that literally leaks down and feeds into your physical body, causing disorder, disruption, and eventually physical symptoms that you can't explain. And then that is what over time, when it continues to be left, quote unquote, untreated, and I mean untreated from a holistic, spiritual, energetic treatment and process, then it will eventually turn into disease, period, end. No matter how healthy you are physically, generally speaking, these things will turn into disease. There is no choice for them but to turn into that because it's such a disruption, a chronic disruption to the physical body over time. Of course, it's going to turn into a disorder or a disease. And even that's what you die from. That can be literally what kills you. Okay. Physically treating these things doesn't heal it. Period. End. That is black and white. Just treating the physical symptoms doesn't heal anything. Anybody diagnosed with one of these awful autoimmune diseases knows they might get medications and things to treat the physical symptoms or help the physical symptoms. But the physicians will tell you this doesn't cure the disease. This is just to help with the symptoms. Okay. So most of you, I know you know that already, but this is important to understand that we don't know how and don't do anything in Western medicine to actually heal the underlying causes because Western medicine doesn't recognize and connect, even though it has been out for decades and decades and even over 100 years longer. that we know the reason that leads to diagnoses like autoimmune disease and MS specifically is because of unhealed emotions. And we've known this with physicians at their time were deemed father of modern neurology. They've been saying it for so long all over the world. The research exists. It actually is real. And yet we don't identify it and we don't recognize it. And we say, no, this is your diagnosis and here's your medications to be on. I hope that helps with your symptoms. And you're going to die from this. And you're going to slowly lose all muscle function and you're not going to be able to take care of yourself and you're not going to be able to walk and you're eventually going to be completely bedridden and somebody's going to have to take care of you and change your diapers for you and you're going to get a feeding tube if you live that long. That's how you'll stay alive for a while. That's what happens. Now, why on God's green earth, if we actually know how to heal this in people, and no, it's not with a fucking pill, not with a goddamn medication, because what caused this to begin with is chronic unhealed emotional pain. And we can heal that. And if you start doing the work in time, here's what can happen. Before you die, before you pass away from this, here is one guarantee if you do the real work. You can fully 100% heal spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. I'm going to pause there. You can heal that. Now, depending on when you've been diagnosed with one of these diseases, especially if it's something like MS, you might not have enough time to heal to the point where your physical body can completely reverse everything and you're cured. I am here to give you the truth. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I don't do that. Anybody that's listened to me for more than one freaking podcast episode knows I'm the way of truth. It's one of the universal ways of oneness. If you want to understand what the universal ways of oneness, buy the book on the 20 universal ways of oneness. Seriously, it will help you heal, by the way. But I am the way of truth. I don't sugarcoat things. I give it to you real. I give it to you raw. And the reason for that is healing, true, authentic healing cannot and will not ever fucking take place if you are not in the energetic vibrational frequency of truth, universal truth, the way of truth. Okay? So I give it to you like that. So if somebody is diagnosed with MS, and you're going down rapidly and your symptoms are increasing and getting worse fast, you may not have enough time to fully be, quote unquote, cured from this. And you still may, your physical body may still die from this. Okay. I'm going to tell you the truth. But if you're going, first of all, according to Western medicine, you're dying from this anyway. You're dead. This is a death sentence. You're going to die from this. That's the truth. Western medicine. There's no cure. There's no help. There's no nothing. Okay. But if you heal spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and you have enough time to heal on those levels, all right? If you have enough time to heal on those levels, then you may have enough time to heal physically. Now, with people who are going down really fast with extreme symptoms, it is a lot harder to heal emotionally because of the current situation they're in creates a tremendous amount of fear and resistance and makes all the traumas worse. So it's harder to heal. It is. It doesn't mean it can't be done, but it does mean it is harder because it's fucking scarier. It's awful what people go through. I've had a lot of patients in the past when I used to work in the hospital system that were, suffering from this disease and other autoimmune diseases. And the level of fear and the emotions, it's really hard to heal once you get to this point. I won't pretend that it isn't. But let me say this. If people are willing to put the work in and heal, it is possible to heal spiritually. It is possible to heal mentally, emotionally. And if you can heal that and just do the real work that we offer at Masters of Self Universe, this is what all of our coaching programs are, by the way. This is what we teach you how to do. And if you're really willing to dive in and do it 100%, then you can heal 3 out of your 4 bodies as long as you do the work, guaranteed. This work, there's no such thing as it not working. It heals at the deepest level of transformation possible, which means there is then you've opened the possibility, you've opened the door of possibility for your physical body to heal from this too. Now, if you are earlier on in your diagnosis and you have more time, it is a little easier to move through this process and heal and have a much greater chance at your physical body starting to reverse and recover and feel better. Okay. I can tell you, I'm going to give you one example. Very early on, I gave an example of a friend of mine, somebody that I know who came to me last year and said, I think I need spiritual healing session 1, 2, or 3. I don't know what I need, but I'm swelling up. I'm in pain. This is awful. I'm going through all these tests. And that's when I saw the anger. I'm like, your joints are extremely inflamed. It's rage. It is anger. It is repressed anger, anger, anger. And, this person on the outside is not somebody who's angry person. You think she just like, oh, it goes with the flow of everything. That's because all of her anger has always been repressed, not just suppressed, repressed, locked in there, locked away. So I can tell you that she is completely symptom free and there's no worsening of anything and everything's fine. And she has been working with her anger. This is somebody who's known me for a very long time. She trusts me. She knows what I do in a session is authentic. And she takes the homework that I give a person who comes to me very seriously. So she takes it very seriously. She follows up and does her homework, and she's healed herself from this. She still struggles a little bit with some anger, like not letting it fully out in the healthy way, but only a little bit. And she continues to work on it, and she's had no symptoms. Okay. So when you get it, I'm giving this example for a reason. When you're able to have really early signs and symptoms of something is really wrong, and you start doing what I always refer to as the real work. That's what we offer at Masters of Self University. When you're willing to do that work and you come in and you take it very seriously, of course, it's a lot easier. It still takes time to heal. There's a lot to uncover and realize what's hidden and trapped in there. And it's a process to learn how to alchemize all of these symptoms within yourself. But as long as you're willing to do the work, you can heal it. When you're way farther advanced and you have a formal diagnosis, and especially if you're going downhill rapidly, of course, it's going to be a lot harder. But I want to make this point. Even if it is a lot harder, you can heal to some degree. You can heal 80%, maybe more. Now, this might be hard for some to understand, but if you can heal spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and maybe you didn't have enough time for your body to be able to reverse and heal itself, because that's possible. It is. And even if that's the case, I know this is going to be really challenging to comprehend, but you can actually die in complete peace. That is the vital importance of going and doing the work anyway. You can die in peace. And I mean that. You're setting your soul free. You don't have to die in emotional and mental anguish and suffering. You can actually free yourself from that. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's the best gift you could possibly die with being given. And I have had a lot of people in the past that I have worked with where it was too late to do enough work. They were already in hospice. And, when I was working in the healthcare system, I couldn't do fully what I do because I was seeing them as a therapist. I was in a medical model. I wasn't allowed to do what I do for people today. I couldn't get away with it. I could only do a little bit of that stuff. I could only do a little bit of my, psychic healing, spiritual healing. I could only guide them a little bit to heal their emotions. I did it to the best of my ability under that system without being fired. But that's the unfortunate part about the medical model is you can't treat holistically. So with the people that I did as much as I possibly could get away with, and I threw up red flags a lot. I was pulled into offices, I was questioned a lot and what the hell I was really doing at times. but I did what I could, and I got away with what I could get away with while still honoring what I needed to do and what my requirements are. I never left. I always had integrity. I did what I was required to do for my job. But I also did the extra things, the energy healing stuff that I do. And I can tell you that I've had more than one person in hospice dying saying that, thank you, you've set me free. I feel okay to go now. Which is hard to talk about. That was never easy to watch these poor people when I know a lot of them. It was only their time because they weren't in a system that would treat them holistically. And that was really hard for me to witness that nonstop in our medical system. So I want you to understand, I want to give you a few of the characteristics that are very common for multiple sclerosis, for that diagnosis. And number one, I'm going to share with you is people pleasing. If you are a people pleaser, if you have to put yourself last, or if you choose to put yourself last and everybody else's well-being comes first, when you put everyone else first and you last and you don't ever come first, you don't put yourself in the mix. Sometimes, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I'm overexhausted. No, I can't do anything extra. I'm setting a boundary. I need me time. I need to recover. I'm exhausted. No, I'm not. I'm going to bed early. Nope. You take the kids. I need me time. If you put everyone else first, and if you put yourself last, that is a characteristic of autoimmune disease. That what is going to lead to, what is going to become some form of autoimmune disease. That people pleasing is at the top of that list. Okay. Being over conscientious, being emotionally stoic, always suppressing your emotions. No, everything's fine. Positive vibes only. I got a newsflash for all you positive vibes only crap. I've been screaming from the rooftops for years and years about the positive vibes only bullshit, how toxic it is, that is nothing but spiritual bypassing. Here's the other dangerous part. It is, you're killing yourself. You just don't know it yet. No, I feel great because I'm positive. Well, I bet other people felt great because they were so quote unquote positive. And then all of a sudden their whole body is swelling up and they have severe pain in their joints. And they're like, what is this? I don't understand. I'm so positive all the time. That's the problem. You're denying your humanness, and to be human is to feel emotion. That's why we're here. That's why a divine soul having a human experience. That's why we're all here. Hello. You're literally denying your humanness by pretending like you're not allowed to feel human fucking emotion. So being stoic is stupidity, and it is a level of cultural brainwashing that we have been forced to down our throats and been forced to endure for centuries. All right. That hyper responsible person, even that like perfectionist can be a characteristic of somebody who will then eventually this will manifest into an autoimmune disease of some sort. When you always put everyone else's needs ahead of your own, I know I've said that already, but that is also a form of suppressing your own emotions, not just suppressing and ignoring your own needs, which means you're not nurturing yourself. You're not taking care of yourself in a healthy way, right? But it's also a form of emotional suppression because your emotions about things don't matter. You just push them away, push them away. If you are not in touch with your emotions in a healthy way and you don't know how to process them in real time, that means you suppress them, you avoid them, deny them, which means they're getting trapped in your energy fields around your body and they're being trapped in your physical body. Do you understand that? Which means you have no protection from stress, from the stressors of life. And sometimes life is stressful. Period. End. That's part of the human experience. Sometimes life is blissful and exciting and fun and amazing. And sometimes life is depressing and scary and stressful. That's part of being human. Hello, welcome to the human experience. Divine souls moving through a human experience. This is part of it. So when we deny that part, when we do not know how to truly authentically process our traumas, the things that are upsetting, the things that have hurt our feelings, the things that when people were really dismissive, unloving, unkind, all that pain stays in there. Emotions are nothing more than forms of energy. Energy never dies. So you're now trapped in those energies forever. It's not about having a better attitude. All that bullshit for years that has been out there, like, just change your attitude. Oh, it's so frustrating knowing that you're helping to contribute to people getting diseases, and because it's not just about changing your goddamn attitude. It is about processing the pain that is getting trapped in there. It's not about ignoring it, denying it, looking on the bright side, and pretending like it doesn't exist. When you pretend like it doesn't exist, and even though today's topic is mostly about autoimmune, I'm going to throw cancer in here real quick, because people that always look at the bright side and always have a positive attitude, that is one thing that also leads to a lot of cancers that I see, by the way. Okay. Now, to be emotionally stoic, we usually think of this characteristic that men have, where they never show emotion because they've also, in our toxic patriarchal society, have been abused by the patriarch, and brainwashed as well, just like women have. And that's usually more of a characteristic that men carry. Like, nothing bothers me. I'm stoic. To be masculine means to be stoic. That's the fucked up brainwashing bullshit of toxic patriarchy. And all that means is I'm not in touch with my emotions. I push them aside. I deny them. I avoid them. I suppress them. I repress them. Here's the difference why the majority of people diagnosed with autoimmune disease are women versus men. In our society, it is also acceptable for men to be angry, rageful, and violent. So what tends to happen with men is, and this is a generalization, of course there's exceptions to this, but this is the general rule. What happens with men is they suppress everything, but the rage comes out in other ways. The anger comes out. They explode in other ways. They scream and lose their shit in other ways in different scenarios with road rage. If they're a professional athlete, it might be on the field. So they're raging out and they're taking their violence out in other ways. Their anger, their rage, their violence comes out, but it comes out in other ways. It can come out in abuse, like domestic abuse. They can flip out. Oh, I got drunk. I was drunk and I got into a fight. No, that's suppressed, unhealed emotions and traumas. And the reason why you're raging out is because of that. Now, the benefit of that to the physical body is men are far less likely to develop things like autoimmune diseases because they're letting things out in these bursts of rageful, violent acts and whatever they're doing and however they're coming out, screaming, yelling, slamming things, punching a wall, whatever it is, getting in a fight. You know, that burst of explosion, releasing that energy out, you're dumping your energy and harming someone else. So none of this is positive. None of this is okay or acceptable. I just want you to understand from an educational standpoint on energetics what's really happening. You're releasing and letting these things out, but you're not healing the cause of the anger and the rage to begin with, which is why you have a quote unquote anger problem, why you always are a loose cannon, right? Now for women, that's not that, they're the opposite. They suppress everything. They're forced. Oh, you can't change your tone of voice as a woman. The second a woman changes her tone of voice, oh, you're emotional. You need to calm down. You're out of control. Men can be fucking violent as all hell. And it's like, oh, they're just angry. Can't you understand? It was the pressure of the game or whatever it might be. Excuses upon excuses upon excuses for men. But for women, there is no excuse. The second you are anything but submissive and quiet and show an even tone of voice at all times so you're not a threat to anybody or especially to men, then you get a fucking attacked and told you're out of control and you're emotional and you're an angry woman. Funny, the anger problems are with men. They're the ones with the anger problems. Women don't have anger problems and let it out and project that onto other people. They abuse themselves with their anger, hence manifested autoimmune disease, and why it's mostly women that get diagnosed with it. So if you know of anybody who is suffering from this, I mean this very literally right now, please send this to them. Please share this episode with them, because there are things that we can do to heal and you heal on the spiritual, mental, emotional first. Okay. It's simultaneous. It is. All of it's simultaneous, but the left brain comprehends it in a linear fashion. That's why I offer it in that way. Just makes it easier to understand. The physical body will start to heal literally as a byproduct of healing the spiritual, mental, and emotional stuff. So if you learn how to heal spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you are now giving yourself the possibility to heal physically from these disorders, these diseases. Okay. So if you're suffering and you're really curious and you're ready to go in and do the real work, spiritual, mental, emotionally, it is not going to be lay on a table and do energy healing on me and I'm fucking cured. No, no. Because even if that's the case, because I used to do that with my friend who died from MS and others many, many, many years ago when I didn't understand translocation versus transformation. I could see all the things emotionally, but I wasn't at the level where I could say to them, here's the core of the trauma. Are you ready to go in and heal it? And then take them step by step in how they can empower themselves. I guide them to self-empowerment, but they can heal it. I assist in the healing. I do, always. But what I realized was even when things would be healed, that person would recreate the very thing that I quote unquote healed them from. They would recreate it. Why? Because they didn't heal their mental programs. They didn't heal their emotional programs. They were not healing the core emotional traumatic wound that was for them the cause of this manifested disease. So what was happening was symptoms, the physical body would heal and then it would slowly come back. Now, I don't call that actual healing, right? Because it isn't permanent. So my process of learning over the years, a couple decades ago, was I had like a 10-year process where I was really understanding why does this stuff keep coming back? So that was my lesson, my journey as a spiritual leader, as a spiritual healer. I had to really see why these things kept coming back, why these symptoms kept, why are these people recreating this shit inside of themselves? I don't say that in judgment. I had to understand what was happening and why, right? And that's what I've based my programs, my coaching programs on, the healing that I do today, using the universal ways of oneness to heal people when they come in for spiritual healing sessions with me. Um, I literally am bringing up to the surface what is happening and allowing the person, my client in front of me, to realize this is what you're carrying. This is what's in there. We need to bring it to the surface and realize, pull all these things out of your blind spot so that they can actually be alchemized by you. If you have no awareness you're even carrying this with you, guess what happens? You literally recreate it because it's in your subconscious mind. All right. So when you work in energetics and you heal with the science of, based on the science of energetics, energetic science, you are able to heal on all levels. And remember what I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. Your physical body is literally the last place that disease shows symptoms. It is the last place. It shows up spiritually first. It shows up mentally second. It shows up emotionally third, almost always in that order. And it could be emotionally, mentally, those can flip, doesn't matter. But it shows up energetically in non-visible forms to testing or to the naked eye, to your physical eyes. It shows up in non-physical form first, period, end, always. Okay. And it's people with the abilities to see these things inside of you that can see what's happening, why it's happening. Okay, let's go in and heal this now. All right. So I really am hoping that those of you who need to hear this were given hope right now by listening to this. And if you know of somebody, you can share this and maybe they have hope that if they add holistic treatment to what they're currently experiencing, okay? And I've got to throw in there, it ain't talk therapy, guys. Talk therapy doesn't heal shit. It doesn't. And I've mentioned this in so many episodes. I'm not going to dive into it now, we're wrapping up. We're almost out of time for this episode, but I want to make it clear. Energetically, talk therapy does not alchemize and heal anything. It doesn't, period, end. All right. So talking about it isn't just talking about your trauma or talking about what's unhealed. That is not the process that we offer at Masters of Self University. It is much deeper than that because we need to alchemize what is in there. That is an energetic process. It is an energetic transformation that you learn to co-create and be intimately a part of when you are on the receiving end of these things that we offer at Masters of Self University. So understand, please don't lose hope if you have a diagnosis that you're suffering from. If you really are looking for holistic approaches to help you treat this and heal this from a different perspective, and never once am I saying, I would never tell you to stop seeing your physicians or stop your medicine. That's never, ever, ever what you will hear myself or anybody at Masters of Self University say. That is not for me to say. That is not my decision. I'm not a physician. I never pretend to be. Okay. But I do want you to understand, if you want to add to your treatments and take a holistic approach and learn how to work with energies and learn how to actually alchemize and process unhealed traumas and emotions that you might not even know are in there. If you're ready to do the real work, this could be an opportunity for you to heal on a lot of different levels that you didn't even know was possible prior to listening to this today. So if you're curious and you want to learn more, please go to mastersofselfuniversity.com. Sign up for a free consultation. If you're curious and you're suffering, then let's talk about possibilities and programs and things that we can do to help get you on a track of holistic healing. And again, please share this. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this and share this with people who it might benefit from. And the last thing that I want to say to you is, if you really are suffering from one of these diseases, I am really sorry that you are suffering, and I'm really sorry. I've witnessed it over and over again, so many different diagnoses with former patients, and my heart goes out to you. I know that it is really terrifying and it is awful, and the fear of dying, of course, comes up. But if you really want to, you can heal all of that emotion. It is possible. You just have to be willing to learn how. Willing to see a coach every week for a while and learn how to go into the fears that are coming up. And in the end, if the minimal amount that you can get from that is a level of peace in your heart and in your soul, I don't know for you, I can't answer for you, but that to me is worth it. That to me is almost priceless. And you have to decide for yourself if that's worth it. But I think it is. And I just want you to know that no matter what, there are other options to try. And let's at least heal the fear of dying, and let's heal the fears that are coming up with what you're experiencing. Let's heal the anger that's coming up because you're in this position. So with some of these diagnoses with RA, and I've seen this with RA, and I've also seen this, especially with MS, the diagnosis of MS, that your normal, natural human emotion that is common, isn't this ironic, that comes up when somebody is diagnosed and they realize what the prognosis is anger and even rage. And yet, more often than not, that is one of the biggest trapped emotions in the body that actually caused this to manifest to begin with. And ironically, it is also what speeds up the damn disease and the symptoms. So I am educating you on that because I would hope if you understand that. And I know some of you, if you are diagnosed with this, especially with MS, and you're hearing this right now, you probably, something just connected dots for you. You probably, something just clicked, and probably there have been some dots connected for you. Holy shit. When the massive stressors come, or when I'm really angry, It's like my symptoms get exacerbated or things go downhill or I get worse. So I want to try not to be angry. It's not about suppressing the anger. That's what caused this to manifest to begin with in many cases. But anger is normal and it is healthy. So I'm sharing this. I want you to be educated in that and understand that, because I would never in my life want you to not have a professional to guide you through how to actually alchemize this. Otherwise, you're sort of trapped in a hamster wheel of suppressing, and then anger comes out, and then you're really angry about this, and this isn't fair, and you might be really sad and grieving, and then you go back to nope, 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 I'm going to be positive. None of that actually alchemizes the trapped emotions that are in there. And that's where people I've seen over the years get stuck and trapped in that hamster wheel of disease, getting worse and worse, and their prognosis being, quote unquote, accurate from their doctors. So if you understand that, you might be able to then understand how there's a different process to heal that. How you can heal that is the energetic process that we teach at Masters of Self University. But how you're trapped in that, if you understand it, you can understand how it's making your disease worse or your symptoms worse. And how and why, I would never recommend trying to heal that by yourself or on your own. Never, ever, ever. Especially when you have symptoms that you're suffering from and are extreme. Why would you not get a professional? Please get the professional to help you alchemize this, because there is a chance that you can heal it. There is hope there. So, having said that, my heart goes out to anybody who is suffering from this. And I hope you feel inspired to reach out and connect to us at mastersofselfuniversity.com. Get a consultation, ask questions, and see if there's someone here that can help you. If you're willing to heal spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you may be able to heal physically too. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a shot. Thank you all for your amazing listeners out there. Thanks for tuning in once again. We love you. We are in gratitude that you listen to us here, and we send love to everybody out there. We'll see everybody in the next episode. Bye for now, everybody.